Tasha. And I am Tabitha Williams, your co-moderator, proud member, also staff with Parents for Healthy Homes and proud member of UPLAN, United Parent Leaders Action Network, the host of this webinar. UPLAN is a national network of parents and parent leadership organizations building collective power across the country through organizing, influencing policy, and impacting systems that drive lasting change. Together, we share knowledge, build leadership, and advocate on issues that's impacting our families. Tasha, can you please let us know who's in the room?
Yes, let's take a second to do some shout outs. First, we see you, UPLAN. We see you and we love to see your face. We also want to give a big warm shout out to UPLAN's partners and funders that are joining us today. And most of all, let's give a huge shout out to our parents that are in the room today. We invite everyone to put your name, location, and your organization in the chat to introduce yourself. And I'll turn it back over to Tabitha.
So I'm going to go over some housekeeping things. Be sure to have your language selected for interpretation. Everyone must select the language, whether you're participating in English or Spanish. We will have chat monitors who will translate our comments into English or Spanish. If you have questions about your language selection, please put them in the chat and UPLAN staff will connect with you. We encourage you to use the chat frequently and generously. There won't be time for participants to come off mute today, but we will use the chat feature for communications. And that is where you can put your questions for the panelists. The last section of this webinar is for panelists to answer your questions. We will have chat monitors from UPLAN keeping track of your questions. We will do our best to answer as many questions as we can. We might even answer some questions directly in the chat. If for some reason we hear you come off of mute, we will mute you to make sure that we are getting good quality, audio quality for everyone in the room. We hope that you understand. Now I'm going to have Tasha go over the agenda.
And what a wonderful agenda we have today. First, we'll hear from UPLAN about the UCLAP program, which helped all of our panelists get their campaigns running. Then we'll hear from our panelists in their presentations. They will share a summary and talk to us about the joys and the challenges of the state and the local campaigns. Finally, we will go to questions from the Zoom room. Remember, the only way to get your questions into consideration by the panelists is to put them in the chat. Then we will ask your questions of the panelists. We will get to as many as we can, and we invite you to follow up with the webinar with our panelists of any questions that you didn't have answered. All materials and contact info from the webinar are available in the Google folder that we will also place in the chat. And right back to you, Tabitha.
Yes, so I am excited to now introduce you to Rachel Ramirez, who will briefly say more about UCLAP program. Rachel is UPLAN consultant who helped design and facilitate the program, which all of us on this panel were a part of. Rachel?
Thank you, Tabitha. Thank you, Tasha. Welcome everybody to this webinar. I'll briefly speak about UCLAP. Geraldi, you can advance the slide. So UCLAP was a new program that we did in UPLAN. However, the ask for UPLAN as a network to support the local campaigns of our members was not new. It was always part of parents' vision. So it was really exciting to co-design this program with parent and staff and our organizational members. In the end, after an application process, we had 6 participating organizations in our first UCLAP pilot cohort. You can see who they were on screen. You can advance the slide. And we had monthly meetings. The meeting topics alternated. Sometimes they were focused on campaign skills for parent leaders. Sometimes they were focused on campaign skills for organizers. And every so often, we were all in the room together. We also offered monthly coaching calls with all the groups so that folks could get that one-on-one consulting about their campaigns. And I think this was many people's favorite part, or one of the highlights. We were all together in Washington State to support one of our cohort members in a big action they had at the Washington State Capitol that ultimately led to a victory, right, on their campaign after a seeming defeat. You never know. So that was a highlight. We loved being together. And another resource this program offered is a campaign self-assessment tool. This is a written tool. We're going to put the link to that tool in the chat for everybody to see. And right now it looks a little bit scary. No, it needs some design work to happen, right? Right now it looks like a long document, but we'll be finalizing this tool, but the content is ready for you to see and use in your own campaigns. And also the translation is forthcoming. We're working on that as well, translating this final version into Spanish. We also wanted to highlight some of the things that our cohort reported, some of the benefits they reported from their participation. Many of the groups, this was essentially the top benefit that folks said they received, is having more opportunities for more parent leadership roles in different aspects of their campaigns. Many groups staffed up a new campaign. For some groups, it was their first time doing a campaign. For others, it was not the first time. Base building and outreach, developing more strategic partnerships, and you can see the rest of the list here. There were really a lot of things that folks felt that they were able to get support on through their participation in UCLAP. And if anybody has any questions about UCLAP, you're welcome to put them in the chat. I'll close by saying that UPLAN's in its strategic planning process, so deciding right now, right, how to continue supporting state and local campaigns. So we're not exactly sure if the UCLAP program as such will continue, but definitely for UPLAN, continuing to be able to develop these opportunities, raise funds for these opportunities is a priority that parents have identified. So we'll see what that looks like in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And as Rachel said, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, or you can email Rachel directly, and she'll be sure to get back with you. Now, for the moment that we all have been waiting for, I'm so excited to introduce to you our 3 panelist organizations. Each organization has brought with them a staff and a parent leader to talk about their campaign. They were all part of the UCLAP cohort, and that was part of how UPLAN was able to support their state and local campaigns. While they're talking, be sure to get the conversation started in the chat. And please remember, put your questions in the chat so that we can answer them during our question and answer section. And also remember to use your emojis. And take it away, Tabitha, to introduce our first panelist.
Yes, thank you, Tasha. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited for all of us to hear and learn from the great presenters today. Up first, we have Families in Action. And Families in Action is a parent-led organization based in Fresno, California. Their campaign has brought greater language justice to the Fresno Unified School Districts and Systems. We'll now hear from staff member Juana Irez Meza and parent leader Mirza Kara about their campaign. Please forgive me if I'm saying your name right. Please correct me. But I want y'all to put those emojis up to show your love and support for Families in Action.
Muchas gracias a Tabita por tu introducción y dijiste muy bien mi nombre. Así es que, bueno, pues buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Juana Iris Mesa. Estoy con Familias en Acción y soy un padre organizador, aprendiz con UCLAP. Pues bueno, nosotros, ¿por qué nos enfocamos en justicia lingüística para las comunidades inmigrantes? Bueno, pues yo soy, ¿verdad? Una madre inmigrante con estudiantes en el sistema educativo aquí en Fresno, California. Entonces, yo soy una madre activa en las escuelas de mis hijos y pude darme cuenta que muchas de las familias inmigrantes aquí en las escuelas públicas de Fresno no podíamos participar plenamente en las escuelas de nuestros hijos debido a las barreras lingüísticas. Entonces, en las diferentes reuniones teníamos dificultades para poder comprender el mensaje que nos estaban dando en ese momento, pero también las diferentes plataformas que usa de comunicación que usa el distrito es un poco complicadas para poder entender también ese mensaje. Entonces, el objetivo de nuestra campaña era asegurarnos que el Distrito Unificado de Fresno implemente plenamente sus propias pólizas de acceso al idioma. Y para poder lograr eso, nosotros tuvimos que tomar acción, ¿verdad? Si queríamos mirar esos retos y necesidades que se miraran reflejadas en esas pólizas, teníamos que abogar para que hubiera cambios en las diferentes plataformas que usa, las diferentes plataformas de comunicación que usa el sistema educativo para nosotros los padres. Entonces, y también asegurar interpretación en las diferentes reuniones que teníamos eventualmente, ¿verdad? Los padres en el Distrito Unificado de Fresno. Para asegurar esos cambios, nosotros tuvimos reuniones periódicas con la superintendente del Distrito Unificado de Fresno. También tuvimos la oportunidad de traer a nuestras reuniones programadas con nuestra campaña y los padres líderes de UCLAP a los miembros de la mesa directiva, ¿verdad? Ellos en diferentes ocasiones, la mayoría de los miembros de la mesa directiva nos acompañaron en estas juntas y pudieron escuchar las voces de los padres. Entonces, fue un honor para nosotros poder tener esa oportunidad de que también los padres interactuaran y conocieran a sus representantes. También tuvimos reuniones periódicas con el Departamento de Comunicación y eventualmente para asegurarnos que estos cambios se vieran reflejados, tuvimos que dar reuniones de seguimiento con estos diferentes departamentos y estas diferentes personas. Entonces, gracias a Dios puedo decir que tuvimos un progreso significativo en lo que fue nuestra campaña porque tuvimos muy buenos resultados, ¿verdad? 2 de ellos que fueron algo, creo que un logro que pudimos decir, ¿verdad? Que fue algo grande, fueron que 2 reuniones a nivel distrito que eran anteriormente presentadas en inglés, ahora puedo decir con orgullo que gracias a todos los padres que estuvimos y pudimos hacer luchar para estos cambios, ahora son en español traducidas al inglés. Entonces, eso, y ¿saben por qué era necesario estos cambios? Porque la mayoría de los padres que estaban en esas reuniones eran hispanohablantes. Entonces, no tenía sentido, como que era un poco sin sentido decir, ¿por qué unas reuniones en inglés si la mayoría de los padres que vienen aquí son hispanohablantes? Entonces, me siento muy, muy feliz y muy orgullosa de los padres que formamos en esta campaña y pudimos hacer esos cambios. Entonces, yo quiero decir, ¿verdad?, que el liderazgo de los padres en esta campaña hizo un cambio significativo y marcó la diferencia para que hoy en día todos esos resultados, todos esos progresos en nuestra campaña fueran un éxito. No solo marcó la diferencia en los padres hispanohablantes, también quiero decir que otros padres de otras razas se vieron beneficiados en estos cambios. Algo rapidito que quiero mencionar es que la superintendente es de origen Hmong, ¿verdad? Y ella miró cómo sus papás de ella tuvieron esos mismos retos que hoy en día enfrentamos nosotros, ¿verdad? Entonces, quiero cerrar, ¿verdad?, esta parte de nuestra presentación, agradeciendo también a UCLAP por esta oportunidad de poder recibir esta subvención, porque gracias a eso pudimos alcanzar y hacer más trabajo. Entonces, quiero introducir a mi compañera Mirza, que va a hablar un poco más sobre nuestras alegrías y desafíos en esta campaña. Mirza.
Hola, hola, buenos días a todos o buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Mirza Parra y soy miembro de Familias en Acción de acá de Fresno. Bueno, yo les voy a compartir un poquito lo que fueron nuestras alegrías en este paso del tiempo. Pues para nosotros el idioma era una barrera, pero para los padres ahora es una ventaja porque los padres migrantes están viendo responsabilidad y asociación con la administración del distrito escolar con respecto a la justicia lingüística. En esta asociación, al paso del tiempo nos dimos cuenta, ¿verdad?, que también, como mencionaba mi compañera Iris, que la superintendente también tuvo que pasar por estas barreras lingüísticas, ya que por varias veces le tocó traducir a sus padres que solo hablaban Hmong. Y esa fue para nosotros una esperanza, saber que dentro del distrito hay personas que pasaron las mismas necesidades y eso crea una mejor relación, una mejor comprensión cuando estamos en la misma página. Y también en diferentes reuniones que tuvimos me di cuenta varios casos, varios padres, ¿verdad?, con diferentes testimonios, pero en esta ocasión les voy a mencionar un poquito de una compañera, una madre de familia que fue a la administración de la escuela, que ella quería hacer una junta con su consejero y el maestro, pero cuando se presentó ahí, la administración le dijo que el maestro ni el consejero hablaban español, que ella tenía que buscar su propia interpretación si quería una junta con ellos. Entonces, gracias a que ella estuvo involucrada aquí en las juntas, se le dieron las herramientas para poder solucionar el problema. Porque esto es la base de nosotros es darle las armas para que ellos vayan, ¿verdad?, y enfrenten allá y solucionen los problemas. Cuando ella supo de sus derechos y también sus responsabilidades, se regresó a la administración y ya hizo valer sus derechos, entonces ya le dieron la junta y la administración le buscó o le proporcionó la interpretación que ella que necesitaría en esos momentos. Entonces, para nosotros fue un reto muy grande saber que ella pudo solucionar su problema, ¿verdad? Y en el desafío de la campaña, pues aprovechando al máximo, ¿verdad?, la capacidad del personal y los recursos de nuestra campaña, Por ejemplo, al no contar nosotros con un espacio, tuvimos que apoyarnos en las relaciones con nuestros socios escolares. Y es por eso que nuestra esperanza en un futuro no muy lejano, queremos tener la capacidad y estamos buscando los fondos para llegar a más padres y poder darles más herramientas para que sigan desarrollando habilidades y poder asegurar el éxito de nuestros hijos al paso del tiempo. Y también estamos, ahorita van a presentar algunas otras cosas que hemos hecho en esta campaña, porque hemos hecho reuniones, ¿verdad? Y juntas de diferentes cosas, y seguimos luchando por nuestra causa y buscar un lugar, ¿verdad? Buscar los fondos para que podamos tener un lugar donde podamos reunir más gente. Iris, ¿quieres agregar algo? Iris. Bueno, estas son las fotos
Sí.
Thank you
hecho,
so
de algunas reuniones con la superintendente, mesas informativas para hablar con los residentes de nuestra campaña. ¿Qué, Iris, puedes agregar?
Sí,
Iris.
muchas gracias, Mirza. Sí, gracias, Mirza. Sí, como dijo mi compañera Mirza, quería compartir, ¿verdad? Estas fotos reflejan mucho del trabajo que nosotros hemos realizado a lo largo de todo este año durante nuestra campaña, ¿verdad? También quiero mencionar que en algunas de estas fotos ustedes pueden ver a padres líderes que tuvieron la iniciativa y aprendieron mucho durante todo este año y ellos pudieron hacer mesas informativas donde informaban a otros padres sobre nuestra campaña y por qué era importante que ellos estuvieran al frente de esta campaña, ¿verdad? Entonces, hablábamos con los padres, teníamos esa conexión con ellos y pudimos lograr que nuestro grupo fuera creciendo. Lamentablemente, somos una organización, Familias en Acción, es una organización muy pequeña y por cuestiones de capacidad y también por no contar con un espacio, nosotros no contamos con un espacio o un departamento donde podamos tener nuestras juntas. Nosotros nuestras juntas las llevamos a cabo gracias a las conexiones que tenemos con socios que hemos tenido esa gracia de poder contar con el apoyo de las escuelas comunitarias que existen hoy día en las diferentes escuelas del Distrito Unificado de Fresno, ¿verdad? Se abrió ese departamento de escuelas comunitarias y hoy en día podemos tener acceso a salones que están disponibles para que nosotros podamos tener ahí nuestras reuniones, pero es un poquito
That's okay.
difícil a
Thank
veces,
you.
pero agradecemos la subvención de UCLAP porque pudimos hacer grandes cambios. Ya.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate. Thank you so much. That was so inspiring. Especially communication is the key. And so you are getting a lot of love in the chat and in emojis during your presentation. So everyone, please remember to continue putting your questions or your comments in the chat. And now we're going to hear from Kansas City Parent Leader Training Institute. We have with us today Julie Holland, Director, and Natasha Bailey, Parent Leader, to tell us more about their campaign to bring sustained child care funding to Kansas City. And don't forget to put those emojis in the chat, to throw those emojis up and put the questions in the chat.
Hi, my name is Natasha Bailey. I'm a parent leader from Kansas City, Missouri. We had a campaign to increase childcare funding in Kansas City, Missouri. We're going to go to the next slide. And our problem statement was in Kansas City, we lack investment in early child care, care and education. So our goal was to get city council members to publicly pledge support for increased funding for early childhood education. So our plan for our campaign was to, we created the Early Years Parent Collective. We got 12 parents in the same room, and we gave them tools to be able to tell their story. So a photo voice project means that we took a photo, and we used our voices to kind of represent our families. So we had 12 different people giving their journeys with being a parent in Kansas City. It was wonderful. We instead of just giving them the tools to use their voice, I feel like through our sessions and collective work, we were able to build confidence in being able to represent ourselves with our legislators. We live in a red state, and sometimes it can be a little hard to get our voices heard, but I feel like we were really intentional on who we invited to our presentation, and the parents did the work. We also were able to, through creating the Early Years Parents Collective, we were able to kind of create a parent-led movement that gives parents more authority in using their voices to advocate for their children. So yeah, I think that one thing that came from this project, you'll see in the other slides, pictures of parents with legislators and some of our photo voice campaigns. And we left parents feeling connected. They loved applying what they learned through storytelling with their testimonials, which is great because now they have the power to be able to use that at any time and go and advocate for their children about anything that they find important for them. And one challenge, though, that we found in continuing our work moving forward is building that campaign momentum. We have a lot of campaigns coming up in Kansas City, and we want to do more action work around that. But securing funding has been kind of our biggest hurdle. And we need that funding so that we can lobby and have a little more force behind our policy actions. So we just continue to work with UPLAN and push forward. The photos that you see in front of you right now are some of our photo voice parents, some legislators, and the like poster boards behind some of these parents, and in between them are perfect examples of what we did. So I think that this opportunity just was about building capacity and really giving parents the ability to advocate for themselves and know that their stories are important. Because I think sometimes we are very busy and we have a lot going on. So it's nice when you can get into a room with other parents who are going through the same thing and just kind of give them a boost and a hug and tell them that their story is important, because it is. And collectively, we all have learned that we are really powerful together. So I think that was something that will stick with me forever. And it gives me the fuel to be able to move forward and continue to advocate for myself and other families. Julie, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, you did such a great job, Natasha. I will just add, the work isn't done. So as Natasha said, we are going to continue to work and meeting with both state legislators. We have a Child Advocacy Day coming up next month. And then we hope in the summer to also do another round with our council folks. And Natasha doesn't know this. I just found this out yesterday that we do have one council person who is interested in running for mayor, and childcare is one of their issues. So that was a big, exciting thing to find out. And so the work that Natasha and the 11 other parent leaders are doing is really powerful. And what I love is that those narratives, we can take and drop off. So those are stories that are going to stay with them. The other thing in the link that Rachel put in the chat, you'll also see a video we took. So we put together a video that kind of describes the Photo Voice event. For those who maybe want to replicate that in your communities, it's absolutely something that we think is such a great tool for parent leaders to do. And there's an article that kind of explains a little bit more about that. So please read their narratives. They worked so hard on them. They did a great job, as well as check out the video. And of course, if you're wanting to do something similar in your community, please reach out to us. Thank you for your time.
Oh, wow. Well, y'all, let's thank them so much. Thank you so much for the amazing presentation, Julia and Natasha. I showed them some love. We'll put some emojis and some love in the chat. Give a lot of love. Awesome work, everyone. All right. Who we have up next? Last but not least, we'll hear from Ohio Parent Action Network. Joining us from OPAN are Amanda Yancey, Director, and Sharaz Davis, Parent Leader. OPAN is building the parent-led movement in Ohio and has successfully efforts for state partnerships so that Ohio parents have a strong voice in Ohio policy. Please put some emojis and love in support for OPAN.
Thank you so much, Tabitha and Tasha, for facilitating this webinar. And also thank you to UPLAN for this opportunity, to UCLAP for this opportunity to be able to speak about our campaign that we are doing here in Ohio. My name is Sharaz Davis, and I am a parent leader with Ohio Parent Advocacy Network, which is also called OPAN. And I am here alongside of Amanda Yancey, who is the Director of Programming and Advocacy at the Ohio Head Start Association, and she is the staff person contact for UPLAN. While much of Ohio Head Start's advocacy work has traditionally focused on the federal level, and we've had great success, we recognize there was a critical need to strengthen the voice and the work at a state level. So we identified that parents across Ohio was lacking a unified and organized voice to effectively influence state policy decisions and impacting early childhood care and education. So we knew we needed to take action, and we did. We launched a grassroots campaign focused on lifting up parent voices across the state of Ohio. Our goals were to create a statewide parent advisory council, piloting parent engagement in local school districts, and host an advocacy day at the State House. To ensure this work was truly parent-led, because that's what OPAN does, and we are parent-led, we hosted 10 listening sessions across the state of Ohio. We met with families in urban areas like Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, and Cleveland, as well as rural communities such as Richmond, Lima, and Portsmouth. During these sessions, we listened to parents share their real life experiences, their concerns, and even their ideas for changes. As we spoke with the parents, we heard their life experiences, and three main ideas consistently came up during these listening sessions. One was communication, the other was IEP and transitions. Parents shared concerns about clear communication that was lacking in school and with providers, the challenges in understanding and navigating in the IEP process, and difficulties their child faces with transitioning between programs as well as grade levels. Our long-term goal was to create a statewide parent advisory council where parents can work directly with legislators to help shape policies that benefit children and their families. We wanted to remove the barriers to ensure that parents have a voice before policies are finalized and implemented, and not after. We know that there is a strong opportunity for growth, and if parents are given a seat at the table early in policymaking process, We can offer meaningful input based on lived experiences, and that input can create stronger and more effective policies that truly meet the needs of children and families across the state of Ohio. Once this model is established, we also plan to refine our plan and duplicate it to use that what we have learned to expand the strengths parent-led advocacy efforts across additional communities. The joys that we have, which were many, one of the greatest joys in the campaign has been developing new parent leaders. Through this grassroots process, we have built stronger connection among parents and our communities, and we created a clear path for ongoing advocacy. A lot of the parents we had in our listening session are not directly linked with the group that's doing this work, so we were able to get feedback from parents that were not in our circle to really hear their issues and the things that they needed to happen within the school systems within the state. We are hopeful that these relationships will continue to grow and remain active. This campaign has always been about ensuring that the voice of parents and families are not only heard, but truly included in the decisions that impact their children and communities. And again, we have done just that. Other highlights of this campaign has been the helpful tools that guided us through these efforts, including this campaign self-assessment, the Midwest Academy strategic chart, and a short training led by Rachel and the UCLAP team on how to meet effectively with decision makers. And these tools strengthened and prepared us to support each other throughout the development of this campaign. We are so proud that one of our parents have been invited to help launch a parent engagement program at their local school, as well as, and finally, we are excited to host our very first State House Advocacy Day in November of this year. Now, the challenges, because there were challenges with us being a new group really focusing on state campaigning. Like I said, we do a lot of federal. Our challenges with everything was everyone as well. Although we identified communication, IEPs, and transitioning as the key priorities, we recognize that each of these areas include many layers. Communication can mean communication with an IEP and in an IEP meeting with a teacher, with someone in administration. During transitions between IEP teams, intervention specialists, service providers, just communication with other parents in the school district, in the state. There was so much that we needed to connect, and so many people that had connections to each of these issues. We kind of at one point lost focus because parents were deeply passionate about the specific challenges that they were facing. Some of the conversations became repetitive. And we would go into a meeting and it would almost be the same agenda. We would go into a meeting and it would be the same agenda. And at times, this led to lost time and it slowed our momentum down as we worked to stay focused on our shared directions. However, we had in our toolkit the Midwest strategic papers, like all of the things that we had in our tool book, that we were able to jump back on track to say, hey, we're self-assessing, this is where we are, this is what we're trying to do, and let's come back and regroup to try this again. In those meetings with us regrouping, we did realize that the group was too large, and we didn't expect that to happen because we all had the same mindset. We all had the same goal, but even though our goals were the same, the agendas were getting a little muddied. So we came back together collectively and we used the tools that we had that Rachel was able to provide for us. Thank you again for that, Rachel. And we came back and we were able to get back on board, and we are still moving forward. Our work is not done. We plan on moving this from state to state to state. Once we get everything with Ohio and the way it's supposed to be ready to hear from us in your state and be ready to help as well, because we need more parents. Miss Amanda, did you have anything else to add to that?
No, you said that very eloquently, so thank you. That is truly what parent-led means. One thing I do want to mention is that the one-on-ones that we had with Rachel really helped bring us back in focus when we were having kind of some problems being a first-time state campaign group. So having access to those one-on-ones was really was beautiful, and so we appreciate that. And quickly here, the pictures you see are taken from our different listening sessions that we had throughout the state. And the one where you see her holding the ball was our kickoff, where we did some activities where we created our vision and our mission statement for the campaign. So thank you so much. We really appreciate this opportunity. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, OPAN. So the first question that we have, we're actually going to, let's go ahead and allow for Kansas City Parent Leadership Institute to answer this question. Share a story of a parent whose action in your campaign developed their leadership.
Oh, that's a fantastic question. Yeah, so the Photo Voice project is, it's like an action participatory research project. So there is a really, I guess, systematized way we go about helping people really I think about their lived experience as powerful stories and as expertise. And so I think that's really the first thing that builds people's confidence, is to remind them that they know the answers. And so going through the story of really exploring how your family's engaged with early care and education gives them the time to pause and think, wait, this doesn't have to be this way. Like, why do I have to experience this in a way that feels broken, or experience something that feels joyful? So I think that just by reflecting on yourself and having their experience, that really built their power. So gosh, there's so many. I think that I reflect, but having the story. So a great example, you'll see this in the article that was Shalante. So she had experience with her son who has some different needs as a young preschooler, but was kept being disciplined in a way that wasn't how she wanted him to. And oftentimes, Black boys are overly disciplined and have behavioral issues, and was really in a preschool level, no doubt. And so that gave her the power to speak up about that and demand a different experience for her son. And so she speaks, and then that gave her the courage to share that story in an article. And I feel like that confidence is what I love to see, is that our parents are knowing that if this impacted me, it could be the same for other families. And so I really like that experience. But all of our parent leaders, I just saw them through that course of the bonding together, being, I guess, validated with each other in their stories, reminding that they're not alone. Their stories do matter. And that even when they were talking to elected officials that really listened, they all say, wow, that wasn't my lived experience, but because now I know your lived experience, I have now connected that. And so when I see issues coming across my desk, I will think about your experience as well as my own, which is really why we share stories. And that's why that really matters.
Thank you, Julie. And that question it's also open up to OPAN and Family in Actions if you'd like to answer.
As a parent that has been doing work with Amanda Yancey for years now, I would highlight the parent that really began their parent journey here. Now she does this with her children already in the school system. She advocates very well, but at this level, I would say Carrie Hirschberger. She first came in with us during this campaign, and she never was rocky or anything like that. When I tell you, she immediately jumped in, and somebody would forget notes. Oh, I have this. We said this, and this. And I feel like she was part of the glue that kept us, just with her notes and her encouragement. I would highlight that parent. And I thought I saw her on here, but I don't see her now.
And I would like to say Amanda Yancey with Ohio Parent Advocacy Network as a whole, being a staff leader, working with parents. My biggest, happiness was moving barriers away so the parents could truly lead, and they could do the listening sessions, and just really being that behind the scenes support person for them. And all of the parents that did listening sessions, that reached out, I believe grew in some way in their leadership and their presentation skills and their facilitation skills. And I'm just really proud of everyone in Ohio that stepped up.
Awesome. And Family in Actions?
Sí, gracias. Pues a mí me gustaría compartir, ¿verdad? Al igual que en otros estados, aquí en Fresno, ¿verdad? Cabe mencionar, como lo hice hace unos minutos atrás, la mayoría de los estudiantes dentro del Distrito Unificado de Fresno son, más del 60% son de familias hispanas, ¿verdad? Y la mayoría de las escuelas públicas de Fresno no están, estamos mirando que no están preparados para poder darles diferentes tipos de servicios a las familias monolingües. Entonces es por eso que nosotros impulsamos esta campaña, porque durante nuestra trayectoria siendo mamás con estudiantes en las escuelas públicas, miramos que padres, incluso yo, ¿verdad? Pasamos un tipo de discriminación dentro de las diferentes escuelas aquí en Fresno, y una de ellas durante nuestra campaña fue de un padre líder que era parte de nuestra campaña, ¿verdad? Que tuvo discriminación por parte de la administración escolar de ese entonces donde iba su estudiante, y lo que ella pudo hacer para poder ella lograr que la escuela le prestara ese servicio. Gracias a su participación en esta campaña, ella tomó con mucho conocimiento, pudo tener muchas habilidades que antes ella no hubiera podido obtener, ¿verdad? Y la escuela le estaba negando interpretación para una junta común que suelen pasar aquí, ¿verdad? Con un consejero de su estudiante. Entonces, ella solamente estaba pidiendo tener una reunión, y aquí la escuela le dijo que tenía que traer su propio intérprete para poder llevar esa reunión con su consejero. Entonces, era algo como un poco ilógico, ¿verdad? Y no era equitativo porque ella solamente hablaba español y pues no podía tener a alguien profesional disponible para venir con ella, cuando el distrito tiene ese departamento y tiene esos fondos para poder proveer ese servicio. Entonces es por eso que nos impulsó esta campaña, ¿verdad? Y gracias al que ella pudo participar en esto, pudo agarrar esas habilidades y ese conocimiento para ella poder defender el caso de su hijo, ¿verdad? Y poder lograr que la escuela le diera la interpretación que necesitaba. Y también quiero mencionar que a las diferentes reuniones donde tuvimos el honor de poder contar con la presencia de miembros de nuestros representantes, ella tuvo esa conexión con el representante de su distrito y pudo hablar directamente con él sobre el problema que estaba pasando en la escuela y fue por eso que ella logró, ¿verdad? Poder lograr esa interpretación, pero pues no todos los padres tienen ese acceso y es por eso que en nuestra campaña queremos seguir creciendo, ¿verdad? Impulsando esto, seguir el trabajo para poder llegar a más padres y poderles darle la oportunidad de que pues sigan desarrollándose como líderes. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Family in Action. Our next question. At a time when powerful people are trying to divide us, how did you reach across differences in race, class, or immigration status to build solidarity? And anyone on the panelists can answer.
This is Julie Holland from PLTI KC. And I could say that's part of our design of our model is we intentionally recruit for diversity to have people from all walks of life. And with our early years parent collective, that was also a priority to get different voices of people's different experiences in early care and education. We all have different walks of life, and we wanted to make sure those were all well represented. And so that actually made it more robust. So there's not just one way or one way your family operates or one way you interact with early care and education systems. And so I felt that that was really well reflected there. And why that's so powerful is because legislators and elected officials can connect and see, because I think it's always important to avoid unintended consequences when we're doing policy making. And so if you have very different experiences, you can really see the breadth of the issue and know how parents interact with it. And so that's always great. And of course, what we love at PLTI is that now parents are forming bonds with folks they may have never met otherwise, and those are lasting bonds. And what we found is, yes, the parents love the skills they were learning through the Photo Boys project, but even more just like having that time where they have food and childcare taken care of, where they can really connect parent to parent, because we always find that there's more that they have in common than they have in different. And so I love that they still, again, all parts of the city trying to come together. So that's why I said the work's not done, because they still want to get together, build community, and keep moving forward.
And I believe for Ohio, when we looked at this at the beginning of the campaign and what the parents wanted to do, it was to make sure that all voices were being heard and being captured. That's why we made sure we were capturing like they call them the big C's, which is Columbus, Cincinnati, and Cleveland, and rural areas, because the childcare needs are definitely different, in different parts of the state, as well as the data that we captured when they registered, asking, because we went from preschool to third grade. And also when they registered, we asked them, did your child attend? If they were older, did they attend childcare? And if so, where? Were they at Head Start? Were they at a publicly funded childcare? Were they private? If they're in school, are they homeschooled? Are they at a private school? Are they at a public school? So we were really able to there was an intentionality with the parents when they registered, feeling that we have one shot to grab all this data that we can use when we do take it to the legislators. We can say, look, this is not just one voice. This is just not one zip code or subset. This is what we were able to capture with the listening sessions.
Thank you.
Family in Action.
Am, quiero yo decir, ¿verdad?, que todavía en cuestión de solidaridad, hay mucho trabajo que se tiene que hacer, ¿verdad?, aquí localmente, ¿verdad? A pesar de que hay mucha comunidad, hispanohablante, pero también Hmong, ¿verdad?, que es muchas de las razas que se miran aquí en Fresno, todavía seguimos luchando con el sistema, ¿verdad?, de mantener accesibilidad, pero también justicia y equidad en cuestiones de comunicación, en cuestiones de involucramiento en las escuelas, ¿verdad? Actualmente por la administración, lo que estamos pasando, las familias inmigrantes, pues eso ha ido reduciendo, ¿verdad?, el índice de padres que quieren involucrarse. Ahora hay más miedo, más temor, pero yo pienso que nuestra fortaleza es siempre, yo me digo como padre, ¿verdad? Si yo no doy el primer paso, si yo no tomo la iniciativa, nadie lo va a hacer por mí. El éxito que yo quiero para mis hijos y obviamente para todos los estudiantes tengo que yo dar ese primer paso. Si yo quiero que ellos sean exitosos, yo tengo que tomar esa acción y yo creo que esa es mi fortaleza como padre y como muchos de los padres aquí en Fresno, ¿verdad? El sentirnos que si no salimos de nuestra área de confort, nadie lo va a hacer por nosotros. Gracias.
Okay, we have one last question. And we're going to ask all groups just to answer this quickly. If you could choose one class or a specific training or support, which one would you say that benefit your work the most?
I'll answer real quickly. Julie again with Kansas City PLTI. Time with Rachel was super helpful for us. She was a sounding board, a listening ear, and oftentimes we were rumbling with what to do and we would get stuck. And just having somebody who's been a community organizer for so long, again, this felt like very new territory for us to do a very issue specific action. And so it was really helpful just to have her sometimes just be like, okay, and letting us just work through some things. But the self-assessment tool, of course, was great, but then also using her as a guide was really helpful. So thank you, Rachel, so much.
Julie, I'm gonna piggyback off that. I was just chatting with Shars really fast, like, what do you think? And we both agree it was Rachel, our one-on-ones, and the assessment that she provided. We hadn't done a state campaign, and that was really a great toolkit that, to start from, make sure that we were staying on track, but really being able to have Rachel available. She was always willing to meet with us, listen to us, and give us advice, especially when we're in the weeds and we're going and it's, we could talk to her and she could, give us some advice and kind of pull us outside of the weeds again. So really appreciate that.
And last but not least, Family in Action.
Sí, pues, bueno, a mí lo que me ayudó mucho fue las reuniones, ¿verdad? Las reuniones que teníamos con UCLAP, la capacitación que me dio Familias en Acción, diferentes armas, diferente educación, el entrenamiento que nos daban para facilitar llegar ay, se me fue la palabra, a solucionar algún problema. Cuando tú estás educado y tienes las armas, pues sabes a luchar con todo. Creo que eso fue todo lo que más me ayudó.
También quiero agregar algo rapidito, ¿verdad? Yo también quiero agradecer mucho los unos en unos que pudimos tener de nuestra coach Rachel, ¿verdad? Fue de mucha ayuda para nosotros seguir impulsando esta campaña, para poder, somos nueva, era una campaña que se inició no había una base, ¿verdad? Más que los testimonios y las experiencias como madres, pero el desarrollar una campaña a esta magnitud, sí se necesitaba de muchos entrenamientos, capacitaciones, y quiero agradecer a UCLAP, a Rachel específicamente, a Jonathan por el apoyo que nos dieron durante este año de campaña, ¿verdad? Desde el lanzamiento hasta donde estamos el día de hoy, porque seguimos con esas ganas de seguir impulsando esta campaña, no porque ya no tengamos los fondos, porque ya nos recibamos una subvención, vamos a dejarlo ahí, no. Nosotros, nuestra meta es seguir impulsando esta campaña y poder hacer más cosas en cuestión de pólizas, ¿verdad? Cambios significativos a nivel estatal. Ahora queremos movernos a nivel estatal y sabemos que para eso va a requerir mucho trabajo, mucho esfuerzo, pero es parte de nuestro crecimiento en la campaña y pues queremos lograrlo y yo creo que siguiendo conectados con UCLAP y UPLAN vamos a lograr esta meta. Gracias.
Thank you all. First I would just like, I'm just so uplifted and encouraged, inspired, motivated. Thank you all for working with me. I had some technical problems going on, so I had to rejoin, but thank you. As you all see, when you support parents leading that work, they can do it. We have heard today the testaments, the efforts made, the actions from parent leaders. I am so inspired. I hope that what we've learned can really emerge more parents, emerge more leaders. Uh,
Oh my gosh. Hello?
yep, I'm here. I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
Happy birthday.
Can y'all hear me? All right. Sorry
Yes, we
about
can
that.
hear you.
And then y'all know in parent leadership can be
It
for
all
kids
goes
coming
on.
home. Okay,
Yes, it does.
if you didn't get your questions answered, please feel free to reach out to the panelists or UPLAN staff via email. I'm going to take this time now as we wrap up. We're going to put a few resource links into the chat to strengthen our campaign work. I want you to feel free to share any other links that your organization has found helpful in the chat as well. And don't forget to get in touch with the panelists or UPLAN if you have more questions for them. Contact information can be found at the end of the slide of this webinar. And check out the other videos and documents in our Google Drive. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Tasha because we have some more things for you.
And while you are just looking at that in the chat and putting the contact information there, Tabitha and I, we would like to share with you from our own organizing efforts with Parents for Healthy Homes, the importance of self-care. And take it away, Tab.
As you guys heard today, that the work that these parents are doing is not easy. The work that these parents and our leaders are doing can be heavy. So I'm going to talk to you about self-care. As parents and advocates, we carry a lot. Our lived experience can be heavy. The stories that others share can be heavy. If we are exhausted, overwhelmed, or depleted, our movements suffer. Burnout is real, as we all may have experienced that. We must take care of ourselves because self-care is a strategy. Remember this, advocacy and wellness can coexist. Self-care and rest is how we sustain the fight. Self-care is protection. It's resistance. It's sustainability. It's how we make sure the movement lasts. Self-care is necessary because trauma lives in this work, because we are modeling leadership for our children, because movements thrive when we add joy, rest, boundaries, and wellness. So I'm asking each of you to take care of yourself on purpose.
Some examples of self-care is saying, I need support. Not answering emails when you are done working. Reading a good book. Taking a break from a heavy issue. Laughing with family. Daily affirmations to self. Asking someone else to lead this time. Debriefing after difficult meetings. Saying, I need a pause without guilt. Sharing responsibility. Not carrying everything alone. Therapy or peer support circles when possible. Singing or simply relaxing. Doing nothing at all, just taking care of yourself on purpose. Thank you so much for being here and for your participation. We look forward to seeing you in other places with UPLAN. Take care, and this concludes our webinar today.